This Premier League review and Europa League final picks edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 100 times your entry with Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. Sign up with the code PLGP to claim your special pick and first-time deposit up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code PLGP. We're also brought to you by the Mega Memorial Merch Sale, 15% off everything in the SGPN merch store with the promo code SGPN May. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford. It's coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is, absolutely no idea, Monday, May the 20th. And we are here to have a look around all the silliness from the last day of the Prem yesterday. We'll also have a pick around our Millionaire Show, our anti-post show from the start of the season. See if we turn to profit, Baz. And we've got the Europa League final on Wednesday as well. So we've got one game. We can give some picks out. But yeah, general chit-chat, Baz. Fireside chat for me and Barry Penaluna. He's been camping. He looks like he's in one piece. You all right, Baz?
I'm all right, yeah. I came out of it unscathed. The girls were good as gold, to be honest. I put a picture on Twitter, didn't I? I was sat there living the life of Riley around the campfire, bottle of wine, cheese, meats, wine, Netflix. I just sat around chilling out, let them get on with it. They were probably drunk as anything in the tent or something, but I didn't care. I was all right. So, yeah, it was all good.
Say some more things. I'm going to cough.
No, we're all going to listen. Oh, yeah. He's muted himself. I thought we were all going to listen to Malcolm coughing his guts up. Malcolm is struggling. He's still on mute. Are you still struggling there?
Hey, there we go. Back me. I went with the old coughing Bob Fleming there. They're all around my arse. That's one for the teenagers. Do you even know who that is, Baz? No? Coughing Bob Fleming? No.
Nope.
You know, it's a different generation, you people. Yes, good fun yesterday, really. I mean, we kind of had a feeling there was no drama to be had. Everyone was relegated. Manchester City were 10-1 on to win the game. There was maybe about 90 seconds when West Ham scored and then Arsenal scored almost simultaneously. And it was suddenly getting back on because Man City scored after 2 minutes and then 12 minutes or whatever it was. And that was kind of it. Because I went the 3 mile bar, so we had the 2 games on. And there was obviously people on their phones watching the Newcastle match as well. So he could hear what was going on the Newcastle match by just people shouting and cheering from across the room. But it was a good day. I mean, there was goals galore going in. We'll go through our picks in a little while. But yeah, not too much drama to be had. I'm kind of pleased Man City won, I think. I'm pleased Newcastle hung on to 7th. Keeps us live going into the cup final of the weekend. But apart from that, in terms of the football, Baz, I mean, there's been better final days, but it was all right.
Yeah, I mean, I looked down the list, I think if you were putting just a money line acca on, you could have hit all 10 of them easily. There wasn't any underdogs won. All the favourites won every game. So there was no draws as well. But yeah, if you look at it, Arsenal beat Everton, Newcastle beat Brentford, Man United, Brighton. I suppose Brighton were the favourites, weren't they? So Man United were an underdog winner. But when you look around, there was no massive surprises in any of the results. So yeah, there was definitely potential there for winners, and we've done okay. I've done particularly well out of my bonus picks, despite you mocking me for not being ambitious enough. I've done very, very well in the end. So yeah, how many of your bonus picks did you hit, Mal?
Turns out, Barry, the odds reflect the chances. Who knew? because none of mine hit.
Well,
However, it
what I
wasn't
said.
fucking about. Wasn't about hitting. It was about having a lovely time, and I had a lovely time, Baz, watching them all not hit. A couple of them were quite close.
I thought you were going to get your
and-
Man United 0-0. That was the one that was looking
Well, that
likely.
was the one. That was 28-1, Baz. For a start,
Yeah.
I definitely should get a Pride of Britain award for picking the under 2.5 goals. 5-2, that was. Jesus, what a pride. Honestly, certificate, some sort of, I don't know, like a.
I mean, I was very close on the under 2.5 on the Arsenal game. Obviously, it was a very late one.
Yeah.
And one of them shouldn't have been given anyway because it was a handball. That was 5-2 as well for the unders in the Arsenal. But yeah, that was a little unlucky for me. But on the plus side, I had 4-1 Kulusevski to score. I had 4-1 Palace to win to 0. I had Liverpool shots 7-2. Liverpool 29 shots. They finished on 36. We should have went right up the ladder there. We'll talk ladders in a minute as well. And I did have one other one. I can't remember what it was now, but 4 of my bonus picks came in, all at around 4-1. So decent shouts there. And the big one for me was the cards bet. We've done well with the cards. I've not put them out very often, but I took 3 picks and I said play them as a treble, play them as doubles. And a double come up. We got Big Daft Amrabat booked inside 20 minutes.
I'm pleased you said Big Daft, because that is his official name now. Everyone must call him Big Daft Amrabat.
He was the lock. Straight in, 20 minutes, done, booked. And then Douglas Luiz hit for a 16-1 double. Had we have got a Sander Berge card, that would have hit at 105-1 treble. So a whisker away from a massive one. But very pleased to get the 16-1 shot in. So, yeah, good day for me. I mean, we both mentioned the likes of Mateta for goals. Both fancied Palace. I didn't see Palace running out 5-0 winners. And I did. So ladders, Malcolm, let's talk ladders, because I had an absolute disaster.
My favourite pick of the day for you yesterday was the one you're going to come to. Because I only saw it when I was watching Match of the Day. I was out at what Match of the Day on about midnight. And just when the stats are scrolling through when they're interviewing the managers, I saw this pop up and I probably laughed out loud and messaged you immediately because I wasn't sure if you were aware. But yeah, carry on, Baz. This was tremendous.
So Newcastle winning 4-2, but not getting a single corner for my corner ladder wasn't what I was expecting. Not a single one. But I did put two ladders out. The other one was the Villa game to be high scoring. So we did hit the over 3.5 and the over 4.5. Expected Villa might have contributed a little bit themselves, but it turned out they really didn't care, which is what we suggested might be the case. So yeah, hands up. The Newcastle corner ladder was a disaster. Picking goals in the Villa Palace game worked well. Definitely should have got up that. Definitely should have just stuck with that Liverpool shots ladder because that's done so well this season. So yeah, mixed bag on the ladders, but I put a 16-1 card play out, so I think I redeemed myself.
Mate, I think there was gazillions of winners in there. I mean, I had 5 out of 10, Baz. 3 money line plays: Newcastle, Palace, and Fulham. I thought were all great bets, so it proved. And then the 2 that I was really pleased with myself about, the under 2.5 in Man United, like I mentioned, 5-2. And then the first half of the most goals, Arsenal Everton at 15-8. That was my first pick I put out on the show last week, and I was really pleased with it. Even Dave Aran's double code, issue 1785p, message to say I like that pick, and he normally hasn't got anything sensible to say to me at all. And he was into that, and that one hit. And my Acker hit, Baz. Do you remember my terrible Acker? So I hit one about 3 weeks ago, didn't I? I've obviously finished the season like a train. Money line, Palace, Fulham, and Chelsea at 11-2. That came in. The one that killed me when I was sitting in the pub was the over half a first half goal in every game. Hit 9 out of 10. Brighton, Man United. So that was disappointing. And on the other one, sorry, I've got one other I was chinned on, which I did give out actually. And it was Fulham to be the top scorers on the day yesterday. They scored 4, but obviously Palace chinned them with 5. And what did Newcastle get 4? So it would have been when you put the bet on it, 28-1 Fulham, where you assuming dead heat rules, maybe it could be a 2 or 3 way chop. As it happens, Palace won it outright, having scored 5. But at various points, Fulham looked like they were going to get there as well. So, but no,
the other one that hit for me, Malcolm, was Areola saves over 6.5 saves. He got 9. absolutely smashed the
No.
Areola saves as well. That was 4-1 for the 6.5. And that came in quite easy. He had 6 by half time, I think.
Up the ladder, Baz. Yeah, we'll have a little sniff around some of the teams, just in general, what we thought this season, and with one eye looking at next year. But it is the biggest week in racing on the NASCAR gambling podcast. It's the Indy 500, the Monaco Grand Prix, and the Coke 600. So Rod and Cody from the NASCAR gambling podcast and the F1 gambling podcast got you covered there. So make sure to join their Kyle Larson die-cast car giveaway. That's free to enter. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/race to register and make sure to subscribe to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast and the F1 Gambling Podcast. Don't forget the Mega Memorial Merch Day sale, 15% off everything. SGPN May, 15% off this hat if you want it. I doubt you look as good as me, but 15% is not bad. Underdog Fantasy Sports is the easiest place to play them. The pick'em game. You select higher or lower on the players that you like. Points, rebounds, assists. You can mix and match basketball or stick some other sports in there. Available in over 30 states is Underdog, including California, Texas, and Canada. And they just launched Champions, which is a player versus player format in Florida. Sign up with the bonus code PLGP to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code PLGP. I had a little touch at the weekend, Baz. I did the Preakness Stakes for Sean and Ryan. I went on the main show on Thursday night. And to be honest, Bat, you know, we've talked about this when we have a bad week and we've been feeling the pressure of not having many winners. So the whole reason I ended up on this network was because I blagged a winner on the horses for them during COVID. So I've been dining out on that ever since. I don't think I picked a winner for about 3 years. And I was wondering if anyone was starting to notice, because I've still been rolling up, just saying silly things in a silly accent and getting away with it. I thought at some point someone might just have a look and realise I haven't picked any winners for years. 20-1 winner on Saturday night in the Preakness. Sees the Grey, won at 20-1. So I was over the moon with that, Baz.
Well, we should say welcome to any of our listeners now from the MLB Gambling Podcast, since it is the MLB Gambling Podcast Twitter account that you've put the stream out on.
Oh, have I done it again? Oh, shit. That's twice in 2 weeks. I thought I'd got away with it 2 weeks ago. You know, I just thought I won't tell anyone. I'll keep my head down. And then Dylan and Moonath messaged the next day. They're like, yeah, we saw dickhead. I was like, oh, have I done it? Oh, dear me. They're live as well, so they're going double bubble. No wonder we've got more viewers than normal. Callum was first in anyway. Callum and James Mafia just joined us. How you doing? I mean, season as a whole, Baz, I think City were a little bit too good. I do think Arsenal missed chances. Obviously, both teams dropped points, but Arsenal's missed opportunities seem a little bit more prominent than Man City. In fact, Betty said to me last night,
it all boils down to that Joe Linton goal.
And I was really racking my brain trying to think of the 3 losses. I remember the Wolves one. And Tottenham was, third game of the season or something?
Yeah.
And now I've forgotten all over again. Villa, Wolves. Well, Villa beat them at home.
Villa beat them,
But they all seem, that Villa game, they all seem like back end of November or something, where Arsenal's are probably a bit more recent. The Villa game was only last month. The West Ham game at Christmas when they lost at home. And then obviously the Newcastle game, which we've all found hilarious because the Arsenal fans still won't let it go. But their missed opportunities just seem a little bit more prominent because it did seem a good opportunity for them this year.
Yeah, I mean, I remember early in the season saying I wasn't impressed with Arsenal. At the same time, I was saying Liverpool and Arsenal were around there, but I hadn't really been blown away by the way they were playing at the time. But I'd hold my hands up, I was absolutely wrong. Second half of the season, they were outstanding, really fun to watch. Really unlucky in terms of to get so close and not get there. I think anyone claiming Arsenal bottled it is just ridiculous. I don't like this talk of teams. Anytime anyone doesn't win anything now, they're accused of being bottlers. Like Man City were talked about as bottlers for not winning the Champions League for years. Like only one team can win it, and there's a lot of teams who are good enough to win it. So I don't think Arsenal bottled anything at all this year. I thought it was interesting. Rodri came out and sort of criticised Arsenal's approach to the Man City game, where they got a draw recently. And I think there's a, sort of a point to it, but because if they had have beat Man City that day, they win the league. And they did take a pretty negative approach, but that also suggests you can just choose whether you go and beat Man City or not. In the same way as Arsenal fans last week were talking about Spurs not trying to beat Man City, as if Spurs could just decide whether they wanted to beat Man City or not. Doesn't quite work like that. So I said at the start of the season about Arsenal, and I think you said the same. Would this year be a failure for Arsenal if they didn't win anything? Because they invested a hell of a lot in the last summer, and they have won nothing. But I don't think any of their fans will be looking at it as a failure. They'll all be raring to go, ready for next year for another push to try and pick up a trophy. So I would be kinder to Arsenal than anyone that's saying they've bottled anything. Like,
yeah, at this point, already looking ahead to next season, I just worry if Arsenal can improve again. Like, can they be 2 or 3 points better, or is there going to be a reaction to this? I don't know. We'll have to see. Obviously, a long way to go between then and now. Lloyd was asking what the price on Newcastle to not be a thing next season. We'll get on to Newcastle in a minute, Lloyd, you buffoon. Liverpool just couldn't defend properly, consistently. That was always going to catch up with them. They kept conceding first. It was a thing first half of the season. Baz, you were onto it. And you can't keep getting away with it. Eventually, it was going to catch up to them and did. Thought Aston Villa were great. I was going to say I'm delighted for them. I'm not delighted for them. I couldn't give a shit. I'm delighted that other teams aren't in. So therefore, Villa are in. But yeah, they'll have fun next year. Supporters will have fun. They might go okay. Be interesting to see how they cope. If they cope similarly to how Newcastle kind of failed to cope in the middle of the season when we had that horrible 3 months where we couldn't put a team out. Man United are absolute shambles, shit show. I hope Ten Hag stays. I'll be over the moon if I see that little announcement coming out the next couple of weeks. I've still no idea how they won. They finished the season with 6 points from them last 2 games, and I've no idea how. Because they got absolutely battered again yesterday. And then on 79 minutes, the right back finds himself clean through somehow. Again, absolute mystery. Casemiro's cleared another one off the line. So, yeah. And then I suppose Bournemouth are worth a mention. We did say that when they had a terrible start. In fact, I think I came out and tipped them to go down in about October time. And since October, they've picked up they've had the 5th best record in the Premier League, which is outstanding. So interesting to see how they go. Palace finished with a wet sail, 5 wins out of 5. I do think they'll possibly be overrated now. Their key players are still going to be important, as important, if not more important than the manager. Glasner's done great, but it is Eze, Elise, Mateta. So value for things like top half finish or a handicap or to finish in the top 7 place or whatever Palace, all the values probably disappeared for them now because everyone's going to be on them next year. And then Brighton, I think I'll be looking to fade Brighton, Baz, because they've absolutely fallen off a cliff since October time. Never looked like scoring, never looked like winning. De Zerbi's going, who knows where. I don't know what all that was about yesterday, the fans singing shit and him talking in riddles. But the squad looks a little bit thin. And if they lose 1 or 2, depending on who they bring in, Brighton might be an option. In terms of the bottom half of the league, there's not much to talk about, Baz, because the bottom 3 with the 3 promoted teams. Therefore, all the bottom half teams are the teams you just expected to be there. Everton, Forest, Wolves, all the mid to lower Fulham. So they just finished jumbled up wherever they finished. So not much in any of that, Baz.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking down the table and thinking who's overachieved here, who's underachieved, and realistically, you look at the top 3, and they're about what you would have expected at the start of the season. No big surprises there. Villa, obviously, the big overachievers. I think Spurs, although they've had a terrible finish to the season, lost 5 of their last 7. Neither of us had Spurs anywhere near 5th in our sort of early season predictions. And I think most Spurs fans would have probably took 5th at the start of the season. When Kane leaves and they don't replace him, I think they'd have taken that. Probably a bit disappointed with how the season fizzled out when they were within touch and distance of Villa. But if you look at it in the whole, I think Spurs have got to be happy with a 5th place finish, work in progress. Whether Postecoglou's happy with it and hangs around, I don't know. He's gone a bit weird. But Spurs done all right, as you say. You've talked Brighton. I think we spotted Brighton sort of on the slide very early in the season, didn't we? Sort of had that card marked quite well from early on. But yeah, I think you've covered everything else. The bottom half is pretty much, there's no big surprises in there at all. Newcastle, got to talk Newcastle. I mean, I would have predicted us probably top 6 at the start of the season. And I think most Newcastle fans are fine with where we finished, given the way the season's panned out, the difficulties we've had with injuries, suspensions and the things like that. I would take any kind of European football next year. We're just now relying on Man City beating Man United. Surely they can't fuck that up, but you never know. But I think overall, I think if you'd offered me 7th at the beginning of the season, I'd have probably said, no, I think we can do a bit better, 5th or 6th. The way the season panned out, I'll take 7th. And I think most sensible Newcastle fans will say the same.
Completely agree. Actually, going through those teams, I missed out Spurs and Chelsea on my notes there.
Chelsea, yeah, good point on Chelsea.
Villa to Man United. We talked about Postecoglou last Wednesday on the show, or last Thursday. So before he came out and done that interview where the pre-game interview, and he explained himself really well. You said you were thought he was maybe gone a bit grumpy, and I said that I still quite like listening to him. I like an Australian point of view, and he came out and explained why he felt what he felt at that Arsenal game, and I thought in the City game, sorry, and I thought it was brilliant. I thought the explanation was it made perfect sense. I think it appeased any Tottenham fans who were getting a bit angsty. It wasn't just another cliche-ridden press conference. Like, I thought he was absolutely brilliant again. So what I've got written next to Spurs and Chelsea is who knows, like what either of those teams, because I'm still not convinced by Chelsea. Chelsea got on a nice run at the end of the season, beat some bad teams, and then Pochettino comes out and he's talking in riddles as well. So no idea what's going on there. More questions than answers for Spurs and Chelsea. And on Newcastle, I completely agree, Baz. I think they've emerged again with great credit. Like, had fun in the Champions League, as well as a couple of outstanding results, like nights to remember. Played the middle part of the season with the same 10 men every week, including a 17-year-old kid. It would have been about 35th on the list at the start of the season, and then came out and finished strong. So to Lloydo's point, I think we'll do very well next year. Everyone should be back. Add in 1 or 2 more. You get Tonali back. Hopefully Joe Linton for a full season. And everybody else who was injured. Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento finished the season absolutely brilliantly for Newcastle. So lots of positives. So yeah, we'll be all over that. Don't you worry, Lloydo. We'll be all right next year. We'll finish up with Man United again. And we'll probably be about 1 to 10 to do so. Right, we've got the £1 Million show, Bars. We'll have a sniff around, tell everyone how much money we made. But we've got a new sponsor here, Rhythm. So NBA player props. This is what all this is about. You need to download Rhythm. I'm going to download it after this. It's RITHMM. Rhythm gives you a menu of the best player props for every single NBA playoff game, making it easy to go through and find the best props to put your money on in seconds. Rhythm's predictions are backed by over 3 years of data and a team of data scientists and quants that focus on the fine-tuning our algorithm to give you the best shot at winning. Rhythm pairs its predictions with player prop graphs to help you make even more confident picks in your DFS lineup, or if you're having a bet, you can start a 7-day free trial and start winning your NBA player props with Rhythm, available wherever you get your apps. Don't forget that is spelling RITHMM. RITHMM. So £1 million, Barry. I think really this is the true test of who's the best out of me and you. I think it's only fair to say that I don't think anyone in their right mind, Barry, any sensible person would argue that this is the test of who's the best. And if I think whoever probably comes second would have quite a long, hard think about whether they return next year. I'm not saying they shouldn't return, but I'm saying they should probably think about it. So, having said that, let's, without knowing, have a look at these picks, Barry. Do you want to go first or do you want to go second?
I'll go second. I'll happily not return. I'll go solo and get rid of the dead wood, Malcolm. I'll definitely, if we tracked our profit over the year, I know who would have come out in most profit, mate.
Listen, but we haven't. What I'm saying is, this is the real
year.
quiz, man.
I'll be on it
This
next
is the
year.
real quiz. This is the real quiz. No, because all joking aside, if you haven't worked it out, I did better than Baz. You're reading between, you might have read between the lines there, and I've done like, but we've both done well. If you add it together, team Baz, if you add as a team, we've done very, very well because we did well in the World Cup as well. I think we turned our million into over 2 million each in the World Cup. So both the £1 million shows have done okay. So that's got me thinking that I might have to invest at the start of next season. I put 8 bets on Barry with my million. I won 4 of the 8. I won $500,000 on City to win the league and Haaland to top score at 5-4. I had 200,000 on City to win the league and Sheffield United to finish bottom at 9-2. That was a nice one. I had 75 grand on Villa to hit the top 6 at 9-4. And I had 50 grand on that Villa handicap at 16-1. That's the one that's got me over the edge. So £3,318,750, Baz, 3.3 mil. The ones I lost, the 4 I lost, I had a stupid try-cast with Newcastle in at the top. And the other 3 all would have paid each way, Baz, if that was the thing. Everton to score the fewest goals, they actually finished 19th. It was only Sheffield United scored less. Bruno Fernandes to have the most assists, he wouldn't have finished each way. But he created the most chances, Baz. So really, I feel like I should get paid out on that. He created the most big chances, whatever metric that is. And Anthony Gordon will be the top Newcastle scorer at 28-1. Finished second, obviously quite a long way behind, but each way rules. So I wasn't a million miles through the other ones, but 3.3 mil, Baz. And I was me Villa handicap bet paid out yesterday. I was frantically refreshing that in the pub after the full-time whistle's gone, and won a few £100 on that from all my little £2 and £3 that added up at 16s over the course of the season, Baz. So yeah, 3.3 plus. What did you get?
Yeah, so my £1 million was spread across 8 bets as well, I think. Yeah, 8 bets in total. 3 winners, but it was the 3 biggest money in terms of the amount staked. So I had 300,000 on Man City to win with Haaland top scorer at 5-4. Sheffield United to finish bottom at 11-4 was 150k. And I had the same pick as you, Villa top 6. You had it at 9-4. You should have shopped around. I got 11-4 for mine. But I also had
50 grand on that.
So you can bang it up. I was more confident than you, Malcolm. I had 250 grand. A quarter of my money went on Villa top 6, which was a nice one. But my return was about 2.15 million from $1 million. So decent profit. The ones that didn't come in for me, I had lowest scoring team to be Wolves. That wasn't close. Moyes to be first manager gone, 12-1. Should have got rid of him early, didn't. I had a silly try-cast like you with Newcastle in the top 3. And the other ones was assists. I went for Maddison, who started the season on fire and then tailed off. And Salah was the other one. Salah finished 3rd. So else you big up your talk of Bruno Fernandes, who finished 20th in assists. Big chances created means nothing. Salah wasn't that far away. He had 10. But Ollie Watkins, most assists, 13. Good effort from Ollie Watkins.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that sort of came from nowhere as well. Trippier was up there for a long time, but then obviously didn't play for the last couple of months. Yeah, we've done so about 5.9 mil, Baz, between us. From obviously, if anyone hasn't listened to that show, we weren't actually betting £1 million. We effectively split up 10 units between whatever. So for 10 units each, we've returned about 59 units. So you put it that way, still pretty impressive, Baz. So yeah. the start of next season, we'll get involved in that again, as well as
We've
sit
got the
with our
Euros.
EFL Lucky 15s that we're going to do.
We've got the Euros. We've got to have £1 million show for the Euros as well.
100, yeah, well, on the grounds we keep winning, £1 million show for the Euros. That starts fairly soon, but so I think that's it really. Apart from this Europa League final, Baz, do you have any more Premier League stuff you want to bring up before we get stuck into this Europa League game?
No, one of my big triumphs, I said to you, was avoiding all Liverpool bullshit over the weekend. I didn't want anything to do with it. I wasn't watching it, no interest, and I managed to do very well. I watched the Newcastle game, and as soon as that finished, I turned it off. I saw someone on Twitter asking a question. They'd like to see the numbers for how many people watched the Man City trophy lift and how many watched Liverpool's big Klopp loving, insinuating that more people would have watched Liverpool. I had no interest in either. I turned them both off. Couldn't give a shit. But who's interested in watching that Liverpool shit apart from Liverpool fans? Surely that's it. Like, nobody
of course.
needs to
But
get
they
involved
think
in that.
we've already established this. They think the whole world's in love with him because it means more, Baz. It's 5 times more.
Right.
So 5 times more people will have watched it, and they invented leaving and fucking waving a flag about and punching the air and whatever shit else they did.
Yeah, so I didn't get involved in any of that. I saw enough little bits of it through the week on Twitter. The pictures of him standing in the centre circle of Anfield with someone conveniently nearby with a phone, as if it was like a impromptu fucking moment. Loads of self-indulgent crap. Couldn't be arsed with it. So I was glad I dodged it all this weekend.
Callum's getting agitated in the chat now. You can have a little bit, Cal. Stay there for 5 minutes while we quote you. I'm fucking sick of it. I'm be delighted if I never see his stupid face anymore. Never darkens my door. So yeah, that was good. I'm
But
pleased
on
he's
the
gone.
plus side for Klopp, he never made the tit list. How the fuck has that happened? How have we got to the end of the season? He never made the tit list. We had everyone linked to Liverpool. We had Henderson. Who else? Michael Owen. We had all sorts. Curtis Jones even
Curtis
made it
Jones made it on. So good, that was hot. I still we were considering having some sort of special award, weren't we, for Jurgen Klopp? But maybe if he just goes away, like if we have a special award for him, that'll keep him in the consciousness. And we need everyone to forget about him, don't we? Get on with their lives. I don't know a single thing about Arnie Slot. Not a thing. Like if he walked in here now and said, "All right, Mallet, I'm Arnie Slot," I would have to take his word for it. Like, could be. So I've got no opinion on Arnie Slot at all. Do you have any strong thoughts on Arnie Slot?
No, I'll keep an open mind.
Should we put him on the list now?
I think, as I said the other day, I didn't mind Klopp when he first come in. I thought he was quite refreshing, a bit like in the way you think Postecoglou's quite refreshing. It definitely developed into a tit over the years. So maybe Arnie Slot will come in and be all right. I suspect most Liverpool fans don't know much about Arnie Slot either, but they will claim that he is going to be the next Messiah.
Terza messaged me and said he finds Joey Barton quite refreshing. So refreshing's not as if you didn't know. Refreshing's not necessarily the word of the week. Right, there's no. Hang on. I'll just check there's no more adverts I have to read out before we do this game. No, we're all advertised up there. We have paid the ferry boat man. Europa League is on Wednesday night, Baz. Do you know where it is? Did you even look at this?
Is it Dublin?
It is in Dublin, yeah. A bit weird, the old Aviva Stadium, like.
I seen a thing from on Twitter a while ago after Liverpool got knocked out after losing 3-0 at Anfield to Atalanta. A hotel in Dublin showing a list of all the cancellations they got from bookings for that final. Apparently, I don't know how true it was. It's social media. You can't believe everything. But I'm sure it was Jurgen Klopp himself who said, "Book the hotels." I'm sure he told them to book the hotels. The Europa League, and they did, and then they didn't get there because they got beat 3-0 at Anfield of Atalanta.
My mate, Bob's mate, who plays football, his dad's a Liverpool. He is a Scouser, so they are both Liverpool fans. But they were both in Turkish. It was Istanbul last year, watching Man City v Inter Milan, because they booked their tickets in about November time, got ahead of themselves, and then left themselves with no option but to go. Sent us a video. We were in the house watching it with all the lads, and he sent us a video of all the Man City fans jumping around him. And he's just stood there, like, just not having any fun. But did go all the way to Istanbul to watch it, like. So it was quite funny. So yeah, this is in Dublin on 8 o'clock, which is 3 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. Atalanta take on Bayer Leverkusen. Atalanta are Burlington Bertie 100-30, plus 333. The draw is 11-4, plus 275, and Leverkusen are 4-5, minus 125. To win the tournament, to lift the cup, Atalanta 2-1, and Leverkusen are 2-5, minus 250. Let's go backwards, Baz. You can go first.
I haven't got a ton for this, really. I didn't get too carried away with it. I think I'm busy Wednesday. I'm not even sure I'll get a chance to watch it. But my starting point was thinking, how do you make a case for Atalanta to win this one against Leverkusen, who just don't lose, haven't lost? An unbelievable record from Leverkusen to win every single game, or not to win every game, to not lose a game, but not just in the league, to do it in the cups as well is absolutely astonishing, really. So I think it's difficult. I think Leverkusen at 4-5 isn't a bad price. They've won 9 and drawn 3 in this competition, and 2 of those draws came in second leg games where they were already 2 goals ahead. So wins weren't that important in those games. So I was drawn to the price of Leverkusen. I think it's okay. And then I was drawn to the goals markets over 2.5 at 10-11. And maybe I'm drawn to it because I'm so used to looking at the Premier League games at the moment and seeing 1-2s and 2-5s for over 2.5. You see anything near evens for an over 2.5 now, my eyes light up a little bit. So I looked at the form. 7 of 12 games in the Europa League for Leverkusen have went over 2.5, and 6 of 6 on the Atalanta side, so half and half overs and unders. So price of 10-11 is probably about right. So then I switched to the Leverkusen side of it, the Leverkusen goals team total. They've scored at least 2 goals in 6 straight games. But then I looked at the Europa form. 10 out of 12 games, they've hit 2 or more goals. So there's good form on the Leverkusen side. On the flip side, Atalanta have only conceded 2 or more once in this competition. So it is a pick that comes with a bit of risk, not least because it's a final and these can often be quite cagey. But I'm just not sure I see this being a hugely cagey affair. The pick for me is Leverkusen goals. They're getting goals against everybody. Leverkusen team total over 1.5 at 5-6 for me.
I didn't really want to get involved in Leverkusen. Like, it's been a brilliant year for them. Some of the pictures and stuff coming out of Germany the weekend were great. A very charmed, unbeaten streak, I would suggest, lately. Didn't you? I think you went round the stats, didn't you, a couple of weeks ago, and told us how many 95th and 96th-minute equalisers they've got. Because in that last Europa League game, in the semi-final against Roma, they were toast. They looked absolutely toast. And then there was that freak own goal, bounces off the defender's face from a corner, and then they equalise in the 96th minute. And before that, Baz, I mean, I think they're too prohibitive. Like, that form wasn't great. Roma are all right. Atalanta, Atalanta's form is really good in the league. They've won 5 in a row, 3-2-1s and 2-2-0s. They haven't played very good Otto. I did notice that. Although one of the teams they did beat, or the best team to beat, was Roma. So the form lines are fairly parallel. Like, there's nothing wrong with the Europa form. I don't know if you remember the one away at Liverpool earlier on in the competition, 3-0. I think it was the same week that Liverpool lost 1-0 at home to Palace. That rings any bells, jogs anyone's memory. It's the only game they've lost in this competition this year is that home game against Liverpool, where they're quite happy to sit and lose 1-0. They just didn't have to get battered. So their record this year, they've won 7, drawn 4, and lost 1 in this competition. Like I say, if you look through the Atalanta form line, this was green. They've won 5 games on the spin. Neither team's losing. So I'll happily take the draw. I think the draw's big, 11-4 plus 275. There's quite a bit of history of these games going down to the wire, these Europa League games. And at that point, Baz, when we get to extra time, I think Atalanta to lift the trophy at 2-1's a big price. I think Leverkusen's luck's got to run out. And I'm not saying it's all luck, because it clearly isn't all luck, because they've been absolutely brilliant. But that unbeaten record has been incredibly charmed recently, Baz. Really charmed. So I'll take the draw at 11-4 plus 275. And I'm going to take Atalanta to win the trophy at 2-1, Baz.
Yeah, I don't mind the draw shout. You can have your 2-2 draw as a pick. We'll take that.
Let's settle that for a 2-2. Well, I think that's it, Baz. You see, you might be busy on Wednesday. We've got this game on Wednesday, and then it's FA Cup final Saturday and the playoff final on Sunday. Southampton against Leeds United, which should be a very, very good game. And maybe the Scottish Cup final, Baz, if we could turn our attentions to that. Celtic Rangers, that's on Saturday definitely. As well.
Yeah, we'll go with those 3 games. We'll get 3 picks out for the weekend. And then next week, what we got? Conference League final, maybe it's midweek.
Champions League, when's that?
We'll be the Champions League the following week, and then we'll be into all the pre-tournament Euros stuff, won't we? So we'll be flying in absolutely loads of stuff to keep us occupied. So we'll be going throughout, still trying to put out 2 shows a week everywhere we can. We might scrape the barrel on the odd week. We've only put out 1 game tonight, but we'll get as much stuff out as we can. But I suppose sort of end of season, Malcolm, good time really just to say thank you to everyone who has tuned in all year long, particularly everyone who's getting involved in the chat, who's left us reviews, 5-star reviews or nice words and stuff like that. Stick with us over the summer, because we will keep putting this shit out for anyone that wants to listen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was a couple of people on YouTube asked if we were getting stuck into the Euros and what the shows would be like. But we'll just be here pretty much all the time, and just look for wherever the shows are streamed. We always schedule them, so if you follow us, if you subscribe on YouTube, you should get a notification. I don't know if you noticed, Baz, on our Twitter, I've had a bet, unbelievably, for next season. I've got a promotion double on, Baz. Did you see this?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So, just like to get the ball rolling, Barry, we've got a £10 double on Stockport to get promoted from League One at 7-1, and Bradford City to get promoted from League Two at 100-30, 33.67-1. So we're off and running, Barry, with our 2024-25 picks. It was when we Villa bet hit. As soon as that Villa handicap hit, like me instant, right, come on, let's go mad again. Straight in with the tenner, cash the rest out for me MLB hotel, and put a tenner on something stupid. So we are off and running. Anything else you want to tell the people, Baz? Are we done?
I think that's us done. 45 minutes and only 1 game to put a pick out on. We've done all right there.
Yeah, we have done all right, yeah. Yeah, we have to get used to this. You're going to hear a lot of what we had for dinner and stuff talk over the summer. I reiterate what Baz says. This season's been loads of fun. I think we've picked enough winners to keep us going for another year. We're not that shameless. But yeah, we appreciate all the chat. That new tune you heard at the start, by the way, is young Pat Foster. Pat Foster, who made the entire comment section randy 2 weeks ago with his Barry White tones on the Norwich Leeds playoff game. Pat made us a little tune because we kept getting flagged for copyright issues on YouTube. So Pat's had his Bon Tempi organ out and knocked out that tune for us. So we appreciate that, Pat. Thank you very much. Back on probably Thursday night. And until then, what song do I need to press here then, Baz? The new one or the old one?
New one.
The new one. Right, so there's no picture, so we'll have to sit straight-faced. Right, okay. Sit straight-faced. We'll see you down the road. Cheers. I'm playing this from the middle as well, not from the start. Crack on.